Well, hello everyone, my name is Zwiggojr, and today we're going to find out how easy it is to beat Pokemon Fire Red with only TM moves. Last time we did Fire Red with HM moves, so now I want to find out, are TMs actually any better? Will we succeed in doing this at a lower level than our HM run? We'll have to find out today. So of course you do not start off with a TM, so you have to play up until Brock's Gym until you can finally get Rock Tomb, and that's when the challenge really starts. The rules are very simple. I can only use TM moves in battle. HM Pokemon will be allowed, but I cannot use HM moves. No HM moves, only TMs. And last but not least, no items in battle, and may I ask you to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notifications if you haven't done that already. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into Pokemon Fire Red with only TM moves. We name ourselves TM Boy, and our rival is an absolute manland. We then go ahead and pick up Bulbasaur because the first grass TM you pick up is Bullet Seed, and you get that in Mount Moon, which is pretty early on. I then give him the perfect nickname Peanut. I beat up a lizard by tackling him, and I capture Peppa Pig herself because she can learn Rock Tomb. My nut then swept an entire heart's neck with his whips. And we finally get our first TM in Rock Tomb, which I learned to Peppa Pig. I grind up Peppa Pig in Viridian Forest against the bug catchers that I haven't fought yet, and then I can finally head on to Mount Moon to pick up the TM for Bullet Seed and teach that to Bulbasaur so I can use him in battle once again. I then beat up all the fat hikers in Mount Moon so that my Bulbasaur evolves into an Ivysaur. As you go out of Mount Moon, you normally have these two move tutors here, but I'm not going to use move tutors because they're technically not TMs. Next up is the Bikini Bottom gym leader, Misty. She just has two starfish, so I start off with my Peppa Pig and I throw some rocks at him, but it really doesn't do enough damage, so we just die. And then I switch in Ivysaur, I shoot my seed at both of the starfish and they just die instantly, and I get my second badge. I then had to fight this absolute mad lad once again, but my team isn't really that well built for taking on a Charmander and a Pidgeot right now. Even though my Mankey has Rock Tomb, this Pidgeot still has Gust and can easily take me out in 2 hits. So of course, naturally, I lost a few times to this stupid bird, but eventually when my Mankey reached level 19, I was able to beat up this mad lad. I was able to 2-shot the Pidgeot with my Rock Tombs. Next up is Abra, so I switch in Peanut and I shoot my seed at him once again to kill him. Next up is the lizard that's on fire once again, so I switch in Peppa Pig. I missed my first Rock Tomb. We get hit with 3 embers, but 2 more Rock Tombs take out the Charmander, and last up is the Rattata. So I go into Peanut and take it out with 3 more bullet seeds. After the battle, we go through the exploded house, beat up a man in a crazy suit, and we get ourselves a TM that makes us dig holes in floors. We then board the biggest boat in history, where I find a TM to break bricks with, which I'm going to teach to Peppa Pig because she's a good fighter. Then it's time for back-to-back rival fights with your boy Mad Lad once again. He starts off with his Pidgeot once again, so I throw some rocks at it, but I always missed because he kept throwing sand in my eyes, so my Mankey sadly enough died. Then I went into my Ivysaur, but that thing also lost to Pidgeot, but I knew I just got a little bit unlucky, so I tried again. This time Peppa Pig didn't miss a single Rock Tomb, so Pidgeot still went down with 2 of those. Next up was Kadara, so I switched in Peanut once again, shoot my seeds at him. He ate all the seeds with his spoon and then died. Next up is Charmeleon, so I go for the Rock Tomb with Peppa Pig. It does do over half, but he uses Growl, so next turn he survives, and after that I can finally finish him off with a Brick Break. Last up is Raticate, and Mankey can also take care of that with a single Brick Break, and now we can get ourselves the HM for cut and go to Lieutenant Surge's gym. But before we do that, we have to capture a Ductrio because he can learn Dig, which is going to be amazing against Lieutenant Surge's gym. We name him 3PP and we go straight to Lieutenant Surge after that. As you may have thought, this gym was a total one-shot sweep with Dig. Voltorb, Pikachu, or Raichu couldn't stand up to my 3 PPs. Then I went to Mount Moon, beat up some trainers, and my Peppa Pig evolved into a very round pig. Then I went straight to the Pokemon Tower to take on my rival once again, but this time it really just didn't want to work. It didn't want to work. I couldn't beat him. His Gyarados was way too hard to take down if Primeape wasn't there. Charmeleon also sweeped my Ivysaur, and Dugtrio just couldn't do much against his team except for Charmeleon. This one time I even got swept by his level 23 Execute. It was clear I wasn't ready for this fight yet, so I went to the next city, picked up my Eevee, and evolved it into a Vaporeon, which I named Plonker Boy because apparently Plonker has a sweet spot for Vaporeons, which is very weird, but we ain't gonna judge here. I also learned the TM for Water Pulse because I needed a water move on the team. Since the next gym is grass type as well, I will capture a Doduo, which I will learn Aerial Ace, and I name him Uber because I need an Uber. Then we go to the herb store. I swear it's a herb store. And the leader seems kind of wacky, but still, we have to take her on. Even though my Uber is only level 26, I was still able to two-shot the Victory Bell, but we are paralyzed now. Next up is a big Spaghetti Man, but that thing just dies to 2 Aerial Aces as well, with only hitting us with a single Constrict. Last up was Vileplume, and my Doduo was able to hit 1 more Aerial Ace before going down. Then I went into my 3 PP, I was able to hit 1 more Dig before Vileplume took me out with 2 Giga Drains, and also healed up. But then I went into Peppa Pig once again and Rock Tombed the Vileplume until it died, and I got my 4th gym badge. I would speak about Don Giovanni, but his fight was way too easy. I just water pulsed through his entire team. Except for Kangaskhan, I had to use some Aerial Aces on that thing, but overall very easy fight. Then I went to the dojo where my Doduo evolved into a Dodrio. And in the same gym, my Ivysaur also evolved into a Venusaur. But then it was finally time to take on our rival once again in the Pokemon Tower, and this time I was ready. He starts off with Pidgeot like the last time, and this time we can kill him with 2 Rock Tombs to the face. For the next 2 Pokemon, Execute and Kadabra, I switched into my 3-headed bird, which took it out with 2 Aerial Aces. Next was Gyarados, and this time my Primeape had enough health to take him down with 2 Rock Tombs, even though we almost died to some Thrashes. Last up was Charmeleon. I hit it with a Rock Tomb, then he hits me, I'm left with 4 HP, and I still take him out with another Rock Tomb. Easy rival fight, maybe because we were a little bit overleveled. I've already explained the Pokemon Tower stuff a million times, so we straight up go to Koga. You of course have to start off with his coffee, so my Vaporeon can take it down with 2 water pulses while only getting hit with 1 sludge. Next up is Muck, and I just kept on using Dig with my 3 PPs until it eventually died, but that took a long time because it kept on setting up acid armors that minimizes and also kept on using potions, but we came out on top eventually. The next Coughing shared the same fate as the last one, and last up is Wheezing. So Vaporeon starts off by water pulsing the Wheezing once, but then we sadly enough go down. Next up is Uber, so I start off by Aerial Acing it twice, but then he heals up and did some decent damage to my bird as well. I was able to hit 2 more Aerial Aces before the Wheezing finally took me down again. So then Peppa Pig had to come in, but he could only hit 1 Rock Tomb before the Wheezing also took him out. Then it was Venusaur time, which I learned Giga Drain from Erica's gym, and 2 of those took down the big bowls of gas, and we now have 5 gym badges in our arsenal. Then we go all the way to Silph Co to fight another Mad Lad, since this is normally one of the hardest fights in the entire game because of the level jump up, but still we managed to sweep through him very easily with our TM moves. His first Pokemon is a Pidgeot, so my Plonker Boy easily takes it out with 3 water pulses, no questions asked. Next up is Execute, who my Dodrio one-shots with an Aerial Ace. Next up is Alakazam, and he now has 2 spoons, so he's twice as dangerous. But my Dodrio is still strong enough to take him down with 2 Aerial Aces because he just sets up a Calm Mind. Then it's Gyarados time, so I go into Venusaur, go for the 2 Giga Drains, and finish that thing off with a Bullet Seed. No problems here either. And last up is Charizard, and I thought that I would have some problems with him because I know how I have Primeape with Rock Tomb, but it didn't even do half. But luckily my second Rock Tomb was a critical hit which took down the Charizard, and my Primeape lived on 6 HP, otherwise we would have been in a little bit of trouble. Next up is Don Giovanni once again, and as we all know, he always leads off with his Nidorino, so I have no idea why I did not lead off with Dugtrio here, but my Vaporeon was just fine, taking him down with 3 water pulses. Next up was Nidoqueen, which my Vaporeon was able to hit with 2 water pulses before we went down to a double kick Psychic and a Poison Sting combo. So then my brain cells finally turned on and I sent out Duck Trio who took down the Nidoqueen. Then it was the Peppa Pig versus a Kangaroo, and my Peppa Pig punched him twice, and that was an RKO out of nowhere to take it down. Last was Rhyhorn, so I stayed in with Peppa Pig. He punched the Rhinoceros twice to break it into a million pieces because Peppa Pig is so strong. Next up is the Psychic Gym Leader Sabrina, and she predicted my future, but I don't believe in that crud, so get out of here. She specializes in Spoon-type Pokemon. I just killed her first Kadabra with an Aerial Ace from Dodrio. Next up was Mr. Mime, who survived an Aerial Ace, then set up a barrier, then I had to hit 2 more. Then he went for a Baton Pass into Venomoth for some reason, so yeah, that moth is now absolutely destroyed. And then the Mr. Mime came out once again, and I killed him with 2 more Aerial Aces, just like that. I just guess I don't like Mike. I mean mimes. Last is his Big Spoon Lord, so I went for an Aerial Ace, it didn't take him out, so Psychic took out my Dodrio. Luckily I still had Plunker Boy, who was able to tank a Psychic and then dish out a Water Pulse to win myself the 6th gym badge. No more skipping about, nothing interesting happened anymore, so I just went to Blaine straight away. Since Blaine is a bald egghead, my Vaporeon's Water Pulses clean him up real good. Since his first 2 Pokemon, Ponyta and Growlithe, both go down to a single one of those. Rapidash on the other hand was able to hit a Stomp and a Fire Blast before going down to 2 Water Pulses since it outsped me. And last up was Arcanine, who was able to hit a takedown on me, but a Water Pulse got a critical hit on him, which one-shot him, and now we have 7 gym badges basically without any problem, so this is one of the easiest challenges yet. So you know how Blaine was very easy. Well, now it's time for Don Giovanni, who is even weaker to my Vaporeon's Water Pulse. He starts off with his Rhinoceros, like always. With a Water Pulse, we easily drown that thing. I mean, I thought they could swim, apparently they can't. Next is Duck Trio, and even though it hit an Earthquake, it barely did any damage, and my Water Pulse drowned the 3 moles once again. Nidoqueen was a little bit stronger and was able to hit 2 Earthquakes and get my Vaporeon down into red health, but 2 Water Pulses still took down the big queen. For Nidoking, I switched into my Dodrio and I was able to hit 2 Aerial Aces while he hit me with 2 Trashes and also poisoned me with his Poison Point ability. Then he healed up, I hit 1 more Aerial Ace and the poison damage took out my little Burby. So Vaporeon came back out, killed the Nidoking with another Water Pulse, another Rhinoceros came out, and that one got killed by another Water Pulse. So very easy, 8 gym badges in the pocket, time for the next rival fight before the Elite Four. But before we go to the final rival fight, I capture a Magneton first because I know I'm going to be facing a lot of Gyarados in the Elite Four, and of course the rival also has one. So I capture a Magneton and I name it Bobo. And I also learned the move Shockwave, since that is the only move that we can use here. My rival here starts off with a level 47 Pidgeot, and my Magneton is level 34, just freshly captured, and it still takes it out with 3 Shockwaves. Now I know how Supreme Watson feels. Next up is Charizard, so I switch in Plunker Boy and I hit 3 Water Pulses to take that thing down as well, but we did get burned in the process. Next up is Execute, so I go into Dodrio, hit the Aerial Ace, and then we get put to sleep. He goes for a Solar Beam. Next turn we wake up and kill the seedy eggs. Then it's time for Rhyhorn, so I switch in Vaporeon. The burn hits me, I am only left with 2 HP, but the Water Pulse still kills the Rhyhorn. That's always how it goes. Next up was Gyarados, so I switched in Magneton because I thought this is an easy one-shot, but he hit a Hydro Pump and we're dead. So my only hope to take this thing down is Venusaur, and I go for the Giga Drains and Bullet Seeds until it eventually fades. Last but not least is Alakazam. He always puts up a fight. Oh wait, he does not. He just sets up a Calm Mind, and Dodrio gets rid of him very easily. Time to head on to the Elite Four. But I knew that I couldn't take on the Elite Four with a level 34 Magneton and stuff like that, so I had to grind. I tried taking Loreleon, and again, I couldn't beat up her Dugong. And after this grinding session, I grinded everyone up to level 50, And I also learned them some new moves like Blizzard on Vaporeon and Toxic on Venusaur. So now my team should be on par with most Elite Four members, not level-wise, but at least stat-wise. With Bobo on the team, I was able to take down her first Pokemon Dugong with just 2 Shockwaves. Next up is Cloyster, and after setting up 2 Protects to stall out my Shockwaves, my third one hit and took out the Clam. Slowbro is next, so I went into Uber and hit it with 2 Aerial Aces before we got taken out by an Ice Beam and a Surf. So I switched back into Bobo, hit it with a Shockwave, electrocute the Slowbro, and take him out. Next up is Lapras, so I stay in and I go for the Shockwave, but it doesn't quite do enough damage, so I switch in Primeape because I want to save some Shockwave PP. I hit a Brick Break, but sadly enough, Primeape goes down after that, and then I switch back into Bobo to take out the Lapras with 1 more Shockwave. Last up was Jinx, and I tried to stay in, but sadly enough we got taken out by a single Ice Punch, and then I had to go into Vaporeon. But she kept putting me to sleep with lovely kisses, so my stupid Vaporeon didn't attack for like 10 turns in a row, and it kept on hitting Ice Punches, and now my Vaporeon is dead. So I go into 3 PP and hit an Earthquake because I learned that to him via Giovanni's TM, and we won the battle very quickly after that. Next up is my fitness coach Bruno, the second Elite Four member who specializes in boxing and stones. Starts off with his Rock Snake, so my Vaporeon takes it down with a single Water Pulse. Next on out is Hitmonchan, and my Dodrio kills that thing with 2 Aerial Aces very quickly, but Machamp is a different beast. My Aerial Ace doesn't even do half, and I'm able to hit 2 as he hits a Cross Chop, almost taking me out and then healing up with a full restore. So 1 more Aerial Ace and then I knew I had to switch out. So I send in 3 PP to try and do some chip damage, but he hits a Cross Chop, critical hit to take me out in 1 turn. So then I go into Peppa Pig, I hit 2 Brick Breaks, and we take down the Machamp. Why does Bruno not have a Primeape? It's a pretty good fighting type and he just has 2 Onix, I don't get it. Next is Hitmonlee, so I go back into Dodrio, kill with Aerial Ace. Last up is Onix once again, so I switch back into Vaporeon, Water Pulse it, and win against my fitness coach. Next up is the old hag, Agatha, and her dead types. She starts off with a dead Clefable. Yes, this is apparently a Pokemon conspiracy where Clefable Shadow is a Gengar. Yeah, very weird. Even though it's a Gengar, my Vaporeon still comes out on top with 3 Water Pulses to its face. Next up is Golbat, so I switch in Bobo, but this Golbat is a pain in the ass. It confused me and I kept on hitting myself in my confusion until I eventually was left with 6 HP, and then my Shockwave finally hit, which took down the Golbat. Then Houndour came out, so I switched into Dodrio because its defense is very low. My Aerial Ace just one-shots it, and then Arbok came out, so I went into 3 PP and I Earthquaked out of it. After the Cobra died, Gengar came out as her last Pokemon, so I went back into Dodrio, hit a single Aerial Ace before getting taken out by a Sludge Bomb. So then I switched in Peppa Pig, I kept on Rock Tombing away until we also went down to a Sludge Bomb, but this was crucial because we lowered its speed very much. With its lowered speed, I switch in Plonker Boy and we now outspeed and kill it with 1 more Water Pulse, so now we can head on to the final Elite Four member, Lance. Lance, as always, starts off with his Gyarados, so you know who I'm starting with, Magneton. We get hit with a Dragon Rage doing always 40 damage, so my Shockwave easily takes it out in 1 hit. Next is Dragonair, so I go into my Dodrio and kill that thing with 3 Aerial Aces, but we also took a load of damage in the process, which is not good. Then Aerodactyl comes out and I learned my Dodrio Steel Wing, but I couldn't hit it because it outsped and killed me with an Ancient Power. So then I go into Plonker Boy, I hit 2 Water Pulses while getting hit with 2 Ancient Powers, but the Aerodactyl still loses the battle. Next up is the second Dragonair, so I go into Primeape and hit it with 2 Brick Breaks, and the second one managed to be a critical hit, so the Dragonair is down, with my Primeape still having over half of its health. Last is Dragonite, so I stay in and I try to go for the Rock Tomb to lower its speed, but it sadly enough takes out my Primeape with an Outrage. So then I go into Venusaur and I Toxic the Dragonite because that is just going to be doing enough chip damage to eventually take it out. Then I go into Magneton, hit 2 shockwaves, combined with the poison damage that is enough to take out the Dragonite, and now it's time for us to head up to the absolute Mad Lad. And for some reason this is always one of the hardest champion battles for me, combined with Cynthia. All of the other champions like Steven or Wallace or Lance even are actually very easy for me to take down, but it's always this one or Cynthia that gives me the most trouble because they have such good teams. And this time it was no different. We lost to him about 40 to 45 times, which was a very bad ending to this challenge idea. I honestly thought I had enough coverage to take him down very easily without running into too many problems, but the problem was his Exeggutor most of the time because it's very bulky and my Vaporeon is basically the only thing that has a good move against it in Blizzard. But even if I used Blizzard on it, it wasn't enough because it didn't even do half. And he had Giga Drain, which he could get his HP back with, so that's not good. So what I did was I used all of my rare candies that I had remaining on Vaporeon so that he might be able to eventually take down this mighty palm tree. And after using these candies, I still wasn't able to get the edge over him. So yeah, I had to run through the entire Elite Four once again after grinding up my Pokemon to around level 57 so that they could take on this mighty beast that is Mad Lad. The battle starts off with Magneton against Pidgeot. I hit a Shockwave, he hits a Feather Dance, and then he heals up. I hit one more Shockwave, and then he counters my Shockwave by going into Rhydon. But by going into Rhydon, I had to go into Venusaur, and I ran out of full restore, so I couldn't heal him up fully anymore. And he got killed by an Earthquake, so Vaporeon had to come in to one-shot the Rhydon with a Water Pulse. Next up was Exeggutor, so my Dodrio had to come in and kill that thing with 2 Aerial Aces. Normally it would take 3, but now that he's this high leveled, he can take him out with 2. Then it was Alakazam, and somehow I switched in Peppa Pig because I was a dum-dum, so Psychic takes me out. Then I go into 3 PP, hit the Earthquake, get the critical hit as well, and take out the Alakazam in a single hit. Next was Gyarados at level 61, so my Magneton wasn't able to one-shot with Shockwave, but he just went for Dragon Rage, and next turn we can take him out. Next up is Charizard, and the best counter for that is Vaporeon. I hit it with a Water Pulse, it doesn't even do half for some reason, but luckily next turn we get the critical hit to take it out in 2 Water Pulses. Next is Pidgeot, but it's already damaged from the beginning of the fight, so I switch in Dodrio to try and take it out with a single hit, but sadly enough he heals up with a full restore, so I'm able to hit 3 more Aerial Aces before the Pidgeot finally takes out my bird. So then I switch in Plonker Boy, I go for the Water Pulse, and then I go for the Blizzard to take it out and win myself this challenge to become champion of Kanto once again with only TM moves. If we compare this challenge to only HM moves, I'm going to say that only TMs was actually way harder than only HMs. Either way, they're both not that hard to do. Definitely fun if you want to play through Fire Red with a different twist on it. I really want some creative challenge ideas, so go and leave them in the comments down below. That is always appreciated. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters for helping me make these videos. If you want to support the channel yourself, you can click the links in the description. You can become a member or a Patreon. Every little bit helps. And with that out of the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwiggo, and I'll see you guys next time.